Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of live Celtics video chat. This is Summer League Special 2019 video chat dedicated to the Las Vegas Boston Celtics Summer League reactions and overreactions to the Celtics five games Summer League run. The Celtics ended 4-1 score, which is pretty good. They lost in the playoffs, first elimination round, or quarterfinals from Memphis Grizzlies, which they defeated previously, but they lost from. They defeated the Memphis Grizzlies in regular season game, but the Celtics lost from Memphis 94-88 in Las Vegas. The Celtics rookie Carson Edwards had 25 points in that game. The Celtics are slowly signing one by one their rookies and the free agents signings. For example, the Celtics signed 2019 NBA draft pick, the second rounder, Carson Edwards. Carson Edwards was the second round pick, 33rd overall selection in 2019 draft, officially joined the Celtics. The Boston Celtics have signed rookie guard Carson Edwards. The team announced per team policy the terms of the deal were not disclosed, but we have the number around 4 years, 4.5 millions. 4 years, 4.5 millions, and the first 3 years are guaranteed. After the third year, the Celtics have the team option. So, Carson Edwards, the best player in the Summer League, was selected 33rd overall by the Celtics in the 2019 NBA draft. Edwards capped off his 3-year career at Purdue University with dynamic junior season 2018-19. In addition to finish 9th in the NCAA in scoring, so he's 9th with 24.3 points per game, and he also has 874 points scored, and this is third in the school history for points in a single season. He shooted 39.4% for three from the field, 39% from the field, and he scored 135 three-pointers and shooted 35.5% for three, en route to being named one of 10 finalists for the 2018-19 Naismith Trophy, given to the NCAA National Player of the Year. Carson Edwards completed a stellar run in the Summer League at the MGM Resort NBA Summer League 2019. In Summer League for Boston, Edwards led the team with 19.4 points per game, shooting 48% field goal, 47% 3 points and 3.8 rebounds, 1.4 assists, and 1 steal in 5 games, 2 starts. The 21 years old guard reached the 20 points mark 3 times, including the team finale against the Memphis Grizzlies on July 12th. Actually, he had, I said, 25 points at that game. While I'm trying to find the terms of the deal, again, Celtics finished 4-1, eliminated from Grizzlies, 94-88. Carson Edwards, 25 points, 8 rebounds in the last game. Javonte Green, 18.6 rebounds. Tremont Waters, who also signed the two-way deal with the Celtics. And by the way, condolences to Waters' family, because his father died. And Grant Williams, 11 points. So the Celtics are eliminated from the playoffs. Daniel, while I'm trying to find the terms of the deal for Carson Edwards, do you have any comments about general thoughts about the Celtics Summer League? The Celtics fans heavily are heavily overreacting to the Summer League, and majority of them think that if you put the Celtics Summer League team, it would automatically translate to the actual regular NBA season. But I have some informations for them that Summer League is just Summer League. What do you say?
Well, as you said, Summer League is Summer League. The reason for that is because you're playing nothing but rookies, kids in their second year of their careers, and other guys who weren't even good enough to actually get drafted in the NBA draft, and so now are trying to use this as another opportunity to get into the league with another team. You know, if you were telling us that these guys doing what they did was against LeBron and the Lakers, the team we'll be seeing this summer, or Kawhi Leonard and, Paul George and the Los Angeles Clippers and the team they're going to have, or Al Horford and the 76ers, the team they're going to have, or the Brooklyn Nets with Irving and his team, then you and me will probably have to say, you know what, there probably is something here. But come on, we're not playing a league where there's going to be a bunch of college ranks. This is not going to be a season where we're playing a bunch of guys that are first year and second year players on every other team. You're going to be dealing with the same issues you got every year. Guys who are the superstars of the league, getting the benefits of every call, things like that. And so if you're not a superstar yourself, you can pretty much expect that you're going to get a sour treatment in this situation. We saw that last year in the second round of the playoffs with the team we had, even with Kyrie Irving, who's probably the biggest star we had, who was the biggest star on our team, and many feel he's a top 15 player. And yet even he couldn't basically get the benefits of officiating when he went toe-to-toe with Giannis Antetokounmpo, who many feel is a top 5, top 6 player. So these kids, Igor, I'm impressed with what I saw. I got to admit that in this situation. Would have been interesting to see how Romeo Langford would have done if he would have been able to play throughout this summer league. Mm-hmm. Of course, he was out with the injury. But a lot of these guys are barely going to get any playing time when you look at the, roster as of right now, the way the roster is shaping up in this case. There's a lot of guys that play the 1, 2, and the 3 position in this case. So it's going to be difficult for Edwards, for Waters, and, to get in. Grant Williams, might have a chance depending on, how Brad Stevens decides to go about the big man position. Because as we know, as of right now, Enes Kanter is the only veteran big man you got on the team. Everybody else is a young guy pretty much, with Robert Williams and Daniel Tice, and Semi Ojeleye being the other guys in this case. Of course, everybody right now knows Taco falls under that special contract, which doesn't guarantee him.
Exhibit 10.
Yeah,
we will explain that. We have obligation, and I posted, and the people keep on questioning about Taco Fall a little later about him. What do you think about Carson Edwards? I think personally that he deserved that kind of contract, and this is probably the highest contract that we gave to any highest guaranteed contract that we gave to any of the second round picks. Carson Edwards was a stud for Purdue. He challenged the Duke. And he was the scoring machine practically in the NCAA tournament. So do you think that he can be a scorer from the bench that we need, or maybe the Celtics will search for other options like Jamal Crawford or other free agents cards?
Well, he did show, a decent ability off the bank in the summer league. He had a good 3-point shooting range. There were times that you were able to see him attack the rim, get some decent layups and all of that in this case. And even my father, who didn't get to watch many of these games in this situation, the one game he did get to see was the final one against Memphis that we ended up losing in the playoffs in round 1. But even he kind of saw what he was capable of doing in this situation. And he can become a reliable guy off the bench. Of course, the problem is, right now, with the way things are shaping up, depending on what Brad Stevens decides to do with the starting lineup, as we all know, if he goes with, a smaller lineup, which we all know Brad Stevens has fallen in love at times with the small ball lineup in this case, and he goes with, let's say, Enes Kanter or Robert Williams at the 5, and then just goes with Tatum, Brown, Kemba Walker, and either Marcus Smart or Gordon Hayward, then I think he would be the one that gets the, one of the other spots in the backup row, with, like I said, either Hayward or Smart, maybe him and Wanamaker could be the ones after that. But if Brad Stevens goes with more of a traditional lineup with 2 bigs to start, and that means you only have 3 guys, which probably means Kemba, Tatum, and Brown will be the ones to start, with Smart and Hayward both coming off the bench, I think it's going to come down to him and Wanamaker for that 3rd spot.
Okay. What about Tremont Waters? The guy showed the talent to play the ball. He was probably the best shot creator because Carson Edwards is not a point guard. He's combo guard because of his heights. He's listed like a point guard, but he's Isaiah Thomas type of player. It's pure scorer. Tremont Waters on the other side is a talented point guard and shoot creator for both himself and the others. He showed he can play. He showed he can score, especially from the corner. He delivered some incredible passes out of transition. He can run the offenses, but he's short. He's 6 feet tall, and I'm not sure that he can succeed because of his height in the NBA. He signed the 2-way deal with the Celtics. Another 2-way deal is Max Strus. Again, when we discuss about all the signings, we will present you the salary cap situation, and we will explain Taco Fall's contract. Thoughts about Tremont Waters, Daniel?
Well, Waters, I gotta say, of course, you mentioned the death in his family. You gotta feel sorry for him with his father's passing and all of that. Him still playing in that game, it's kind of like the situation with Isaiah Thomas a couple years ago when he was with us. Man, he kind of felt like he should have basically just skipped the games at that time and focused on being with his family and taking some time off. But Waters is on a 2-way deal, as we all know right now. Of course, the Celtics do have an extra roster space spot available after waiving Yabusele, and so many kind of question, what does Danny Ainge want to end up doing with that? Does he want to give up, that spot to Waters, or does he want to give it to Taco Fall, or give it to somebody else that he can sign on the free agency market? In my opinion, Waters would probably be somebody that would kind of be better off being sent to the D League in this case and remaining on the 2-way deal. He showed that he had a better, feel for playing like a pure point guard position and attacking the rim at times. He could make the 3, but it seemed like between him and Carson Edwards, Carson Edwards was the one that was more reliable and more capable of taking over the game overall. So I think you can kind of say in this situation he would be someone that's similar, Igor, to a Chris Paul in terms of, the type of role you would expect Chris Paul to make. More of a passer in this situation, not someone that would really take a lot of shots, but he could take them and make them if it, push came to shove in this situation. So that is something I would expect maybe for them to give it to him, and maybe he gets called up if there's any injuries to any of the guys in front of him in terms of Hayward or Smart or Wanamaker or Tatum Brown or Kemba Walker. So I think he'll spend most of his time down in the D-League, but he does have the potential maybe to become something even bigger with more experience in a couple years.
Okay. Now I don't know about Max Strus. Max Strus is Max Strus is our second two-way deal. Just short notes that Max two-way deals, they are contracts in which the team can sign the maximum two-way deals. One of our members made good point that the two-way deals can be cut. Yes, it can be cut, but the two-way deals have some portion of guarantees in them. You know what I mean? So if you cut them, you have some cap holes. Just like you're having Demetrius Jackson cap hold right now. Theoretically speaking, the Celtics could end up in September or October waiving Max Strus and signing Taco Fall on the two-way deal. It can happen. Or Taco Fall could be, for example, signed to actual NBA contract, which is not likely to happen, but I'm just telling the possibilities here. Now, another recent signing of the Boston Celtics, recent signing is French center Vincent Poirier, and on the Instagram, he shared his thoughts and thankfulness to the Celtics fans and Celtics organization for accepting him. And he said, "Today I realized my dream by joining the NBA and mythical franchise of Boston Celtics. First, I would like to thank the big Baskonia family for all support and love they gave me during 2 years. For every you will be part of my journey to reach my dreams. I will never forget you, players, coaches, staff, fans. You will be forever in my heart. But also all the people who allowed me to give me the means to reach my goals. Today I realized my dream by joining the NBA and the mythical franchise of Boston Celtics. I have a great thought for my family, my friends, my relatives, but especially for my father, who I know looks at me from the above. I'm really looking forward to starting my NBA history." Now, again, still searching for, I had somewhere the details of the contract of Carson Edwards. Daniel, Vincent Poirier is French center who obviously played for Baskonia, as we heard. But my question to you, does this guy giving you confidence that our center line is good for entering the season?
Well, again, I think the only benefit to actually having him, Igor, is the fact that you said that he's a big man. That's really it. You know, the fact that we know that we lost the 3 legit big men we had on this team. You lost Marcus Morris to the New York Knicks. You lost Al Horford to one of your arch rivals in the division in Philadelphia. And you lost, of course, Aaron Baines. You traded him away in this situation. you have virtually no one in this case. You were pretty much still in a decent position when it came to the guards and the small forward position, so long as you had Tatum, Brown, Hayward, and Marcus Smart with you. But the power forward and center position were your weak links in this case. You know, you had in Horford somebody who was an Embiid stopper in this situation. That now he's on Embiid's team. You're looking at having to bank on a bunch of guys who are young, some of them who who don't have any experience whatsoever in the league, because even though Robert Williams is a second-year player, it wasn't like Robert Williams was an everyday or every game player last season for the Boston Celtics. Robert Williams, you can pretty much say, is still technically a rookie in terms of the amount of games he's got in terms of experience. He doesn't have a full season worth of experience in terms of playing 82 games in his career, plus playoffs in this situation. So you're going to have to be banking on guys like him, and of course the guy you just mentioned, to have to guard some of the best big men in the league. Because of course, as we know, the three teams you're going to have to contend with, or at least the top two in the Eastern Conference, you're dealing with Brook Lopez, Robin Lopez, and Giannis Antetokounmpo with Milwaukee. And then, of course, now it's, Joel Embiid and Al Horford in Philadelphia. This guy is just an extra body they can throw out there, in my opinion, Igor, to take a few fouls in this situation and give guys like Enes Kanter and Robert Williams a chance to breathe a bit in this case. But I don't think he's really going to be somebody who's critical to the team and is going to make a major statement or become a major sticking point for this team. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if you see Danny Ainge let him go at some point throughout the middle of the season, or even traded him away as part of a package for somebody else in this case, because this guy doesn't really seem like he's got the body to go banging with guys like Embiid and Antetokounmpo, and that's what you really needed. You needed somebody that could stop those guys, along with maybe you can say Ibaka up in Toronto in this situation. But you got the guy that you needed to, in Kanter, that can do the defense for Baines, but you still haven't gotten the second guy that has the body and can actually, spread the floor, unless you're going to depend on Ojale.
Excuse me. Daniel, we have the great article of the guy who will be the guest in our next show, the Summer League special, episode 78, which is on program Friday, 19th July, 6 p.m. Eastern on blogtalkradio.com, Celtics Talk Radio. This is Bobby Manning, and he has excellent piece on Celtics blog explaining why, in his opinion, Danny Ainge made mistake for letting Horford goes without decent backup plan. He's not happy with our front court, and of course, he has been attacked just like you and me on social networks by the people who has the habit to support everything that Danny Ainge is doing. This is very good article. I will return to that. Need informations. According to the league source, Adam Himmelsbach, the Celtics and the second round pick Carson Edwards contract have come to terms on guaranteed contracts. Over 4.5 millions in guaranteed salary over the course of the deal for the Boston Celtics and Carson Edwards. 4.5 millions in guaranteed salaries over the course of the deal for Edwards. The Celtics have team option after the year 3, I think, and that's pretty much it. Now, Daniel, Bobby Manning said in short notes about losing Horford. Horford was vital defender of opposing stars. Boston will not soon replace. They were thin in the position with Horford, with Morris, with Baines, and they had little outlook of changing it now. Now a chief competitor gets better for foreseeable future. By the way, Philadelphia signed Ben Simmons 5 years, 170 millions. They are tied with Horford, Embiid, Simmons, and Tobias Harris as their core. So that is their core going to the future. They depend on development of the Ben Simmons and their back. The backcourt will decide the fate of the Philadelphia 76ers. So continuing Bobby Manning. Horford plays a game conducive to sustaining, but the Celtics save money, I guess. So I don't know how everyone's on the board with letting Boston's most important player walk, because it might not look great in 2023. Now, Daniel, those are the minds that claimed that Horford is overrated, washed up, injured, not important, let him go, and now they are claiming, the Celtics, the Horford's contract will look bad in 2022-23. Why Philadelphia would care about 2022-23 year if they win the championship in the next 2 seasons? Why would they care about it? What mind is thinking in year 2019 about year 2023? Some profits? How can you know what happens in 2023? Again, this is escaping from reality by creating your own reality and projecting it to the distant future. For example, in 2023 or 2026, the Philadelphia will be screwed because of bad Al Horford contract, and Boston will be great because Tatum and Brown will be stars. How can you know it? You look in the crystal ball. I don't get those kind of fans and those kind of opinions. Do you understand it, Danny?
There is no way to basically justify their way of thinking, Igor. Unfortunately, it's gotten to a position where, these people praise a player when they're with their team and then completely crap on him the moment the player walks.
Right.
Now, these people got to realize there's a major difference between Al Horford and Kyrie Irving when it came to the situation, when it came to them leaving. Kyrie Irving decided to ditch you to go run with Kevin Durant. It was something that basically, in this situation, he wanted to go home. Many people feel he's been planning this for months, since, midway through the season, as, early as, some say even as early as before the season even began. But with Al Horford was willing to work with Danny Ainge in this case to actually renegotiate a contract. Al Horford could have easily made the Celtics, Igor, pay him $32 million for this upcoming season, which would have left the Celtics with no cap space, and they would have had no choice but to stick with pretty much the same team they had, minus Kyrie Irving. Yet, in this situation, he decided to tell Danny Ainge, I'm willing to take a pay cut in this case, but it's going to come down to how much at the same time you're willing to give me compared to some of these other teams, and also what's your intention for the roster for the future of this team, because of the fact that I don't have many years left in my career, and I want a chance to win a championship. I do not want to stay on a team where the general manager is planning for the future 4, 5, 6 years down the road to make us a championship contender, and isn't going to stick with the situation of keeping us as a championship contender right now. And sure enough, every move Danny Ainge decided, every decision he made, pretty much proved he's thinking of down the road. He's not thinking of right here, right now in this situation. Danny Ainge didn't want to get rid of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, the guys that Irving and Horford and Morris had issues with throughout the season, because the veterans, those three, felt that the young kids, those two in Tatum and Brown alongside Rozier, were not focused in enough on a championship. Of course, recent stories that have come out have kind of proven that those veterans may have been right, like the story of those kids going out in the middle of the night to go to the clubs and party after playing a game one night, knowing that the very next night they had to play again. So rather than being at the whole hotel with the team and resting up, while Brad Stevens and the rest of the team were resting up, like Irving, Horford, and Morris were at the hotel resting up, those kids were out partying. And what happened? The three of them put up a crappy performance the very next night in the next game, and those guys ended up basically calling them out for it, because they were not happy that those kids ended up going to party. But of course, with many of those fans, Igor, that we got in this situation that are talking crap about Horford, those kids are entitled to do whatever the hell they want, treat the team however the hell they want, make it where a championship is not the most important thing to them, so long as the whole thing is fun. That's all many of the Celtic fans seem to be making it seem. Getting the banners up there in the top of the TD Garden and staying ahead of the Los Angeles Lakers is no longer the top priority, which is unfortunate in this situation, in this case. You know, I know for a fact in this situation, I don't know how that if KG was around, a lot of those fans wouldn't be having that mentality, knowing the way KG was and how intense he was in this situation about making it its championship or bust. No, those fans would have the same mentality. But because these kids are about having fun while also playing the game, the championship is not really the top priority, the fans go along with it in this situation. Horford, I don't blame him for leaving because, again, from what's been reported, the 76ers came in and gave him a major offer that was way bigger than what Danny Ainge was willing to give him. Danny Ainge was willing to give him the same amount of years, 4 years, that Philly was, but was not willing to go anywhere near the amount of money. And then on top of it, Horford's got to realize also, we're losing Marcus Morris, we're losing Aaron Baines, we're losing Kyrie Irving, and I got to stay on a team. If I take the money from you, we can't get any other big-time players to join us, meaning that the kids that are actually going to be here and leading the team are Tatum and Brown. After all the issues we had with them this season, I don't blame him for leaving. And anybody who's basically in the right mind that looks at the circumstances from Al Horford's point of view would understand why he did it. Now, if Al Horford was, say, in Giannis Antetokounmpo's shoes, let's say, in terms of he's just starting his career, he's got plenty of years left and all that, then I'd say, fine, go ahead and trash him because it's obvious he left and the money is what it's all about. But Horford only has a few years left and he still hasn't won a damn thing in this situation when it comes to an NBA championship. Yet, many of those fans, Igor, they were guaranteeing a championship throughout this season, and we're saying we got to get rid of Kyrie Irving in order to do it. Now Irving is gone, and the mindset has completely changed. You and me told them months ago, you lose Kyrie Irving, that means you're going to lose Al Horford, you're going to lose Marcus Morris, you're going to lose Aaron Baines, and maybe next summer you lose Gordon Hayward as well, because those guys are not going to want to stay and follow Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown if those kids' mindsets don't change before the end of the season. And so far, everything we've predicted has been right. 4 of the 5 guys are gone. The only one that's left is Hayward because his contract goes until next summer. And that's if Danny Ainge, again, doesn't trade him for something else throughout this season. So, unfortunate, Igor, but Horford, he made the decision that was best for his career to try and get a championship. And now we're going to have to go through him in order for us to have a chance to win a championship. You and me will find out this season whether Tatum and Brown Again, this season proved they could talk the talk. This season upcoming is going to prove if they can walk the walk as the leaders of this team and prove to Kyrie Irving and Al Horford, while playing in the same division as those guys with their new teams, that we can do better than you. If you can tell me that somehow the Celtics end up going further than Philadelphia and Brooklyn, then Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum will have proven their points, and they will have made not only believers out of you and me, but they will have officially shut up Kyrie Irving and Al Horford for everything that they ended up doing. Same thing with Marcus Morris and Aaron Baines. They will have shut those guys up as well. But if the 76ers go further than the Celtics, or the Brooklyn Nets go further than the Celtics, with only Kyrie Irving leading them, because Kevin Durant, of course, is out for the season, then, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, that's when it's going to be proven you were all wrong for talking crap about those veterans and praising these kids and claiming they could win a championship this upcoming season, because it will be proven they couldn't do it without the help of Al Horford and Kyrie Irving helping them to actually get the number one seed.
Yes. I mean, the people are talking about the Celtics entering the big finals. Again, unless bearing the major injuries, I cannot see us passing Bucks nor Philadelphia 76ers. I'm sorry to ruining somebody else's dream. By the way, the latest power rankings on ESPN: Milwaukee Bucks number 1, Denver Nuggets number 2, Clippers number 3, Philadelphia number 4, Houston number 5, Lakers number 6, Boston number 7, Portland number 8, Utah number 9, Toronto number 10. So let's examine this. I sent some thoughts of the experts about the Celtics winning season. By the way, we will discuss Taco Fall's contract and the roster soon. Somewhere I posted it. Here it is. Yes, Bobby Manning about the center issues. So, Bobby Manning, if the Celtics end up fine at center, I will let go. I'm just skeptical of what they have inside. They were poor built to lose Horford. They could have done worse than Kanter, that's for sure. But I think it will be quick apparent between him and the young guys how important Horford was. The people are saying that, quote, I love Al, but I think it's clear team wanted to take a step back, to take 2 steps forward. Bobby asked, so a year of Kemba's prime at 32 million is part of taking that step back? I mean, how the people can say that the Celtics stepped back when they have 2 maximum contract and signed Kemba Walker to 32.7 million first season, 4 years, 148 million maximum contract, and they have Gordon Hayward, 2 years maximum contract. I think player option or team option after 3rd year, after next season for Gordon Hayward. So you have 2 maximum spot roster guys. You're over the salary cap, and the people are talking. The Celtics fans are saying that the Celtics are actually young and inexperienced, and the Celtics are rebuilding. This time, this excuse will not work. You all said, and some of the Celtics fans are confident, and I love that confidence. So you all said, Irving is the cancer. Horford is washed up. We don't want Irving. We don't want Horford. Built around Rozier, built around Tatum, built around Brown, Kemba Walker, bravo, better than Kyrie, right? Better fit. That's what have been said, right? So no stepping back right now. No stepping back like Boston stepped back. Boston didn't step back. They said Stevens and Grausbeck and Danny Ainge, we are retooling. We are contenders. We are attacking the title next year. So I'm not going to take the excuses when we're eliminated in the second round that this is the success. It is not, because you're putting the goals at the beginning of the season, right? Last year, the goal was to be in the big finals. We are eliminated in the second round. So, the conclusion, the season not successful. End of story. This season, again, Eastern Conference Finals or the big finals. If that don't happen, the season not successful. Second round exit, not successful. End of story. I don't want to hear the excuses. Tatum and Brown are young. Team is not experienced. Who is not experienced? Kemba Walker is the least experienced guy in the playoffs from the starting five. Your Kemba Walker that you're swearing, he played 11 playoff games in 8 years. He lost 2 times in the first round, eliminated. But Tatum and Brown, Tatum has 1 Eastern Conference Finals, Brown has 2 Eastern Conference Finals, both against Cavaliers with the Celtics. Then Enes Kanter had decent playoff run with the Portland Trail Blazers, third or second round, I cannot remember right now from the top of my head. Who else? Gordon Hayward. He had playoff run with Utah. He played last year with the Celtics, the second round, both times. So the Celtics have experienced Marcus Smart. He was in the 2 Eastern Conference Finals. So you cannot say like Daniel Tice. He has also the Eastern Conference Finals. So I'm not buying and not accepting the complainings that the Celtics are young and experienced and they should be given credit for being young. No. This time no. Because you wanted this roster. This roster proclaimed to be contenders. Everybody talking about the Celtics entering finals. Sometimes I'm thinking maybe I'm crazy or maybe I entered some parallel universe in which the Celtics are contenders. Maybe this is the case. Also, everybody is celebrating Daniel the fall and departure of Kawhi Leonard from Toronto. They are dancing on their grave, especially the Celtics fans, which I despise, to tell you the truth. And it remains to be, of course, Toronto is not going to be the contenders this year, but they do not claim that they are contenders. However, you have Indiana who will challenge us for number 3 spot. Now, let's continue with Kungu. Alex Kungu from the Celtics blog. I think I'm just having hard times establishing what is the successful season for win-loss perspective. Ceiling still feels like Eastern Conference Finals, second round, but I probably won't have good feeling until I see it on the floor. The expectations is that the Celtics will outperform expectations, which is pretty weird target to hit. Tom Westerholm. Kungu said 49 wins, not 15 wins seasons, but almost there. Probably between 4th and 6th seed in the East. That sounds about right based on the informations we have right now. Tatum Hayward front court rotations feels like it could cause it to swing positively or negatively in substantial way. So the fan asked, I still don't know who is going to challenge us for number 3 spot. And the answer from Matt Moore is Indiana. I don't know why the people are sleeping on Indiana. Daniel, your opinion?
With that, it's for many of them, it's a situation of we beat them last year. Think about it, Igor. That's been the same claim they've been making since the 2017-2018 season. We beat Milwaukee and Philadelphia in that 2018 playoff run, so we can do it again. This year we couldn't get past Milwaukee because Kyrie Irving was there. So I'm not surprised that fans are now willing to discount Indiana in this case because they feel we beat them last year in the 2019 playoffs, so we should be able. We'll definitely beat them next year. These people don't seem to realize that the rosters change. In the case of Indiana, we swept them, yes, but of course we all know they were missing one of the most important players on that roster, if not the most important player in many people's opinion, in Victor Oladipo. And so you got to play them with your roster fully intact and them missing their best player. This year, Oladipo will be back. As long as they're not injured, Oladipo is capable of going toe-to-toe with almost anybody on the Celtics roster. We may be the favorites in that matchup against them in this case, but you definitely can't say that they ain't got a shot of actually getting by you, especially if the same issues that caused guys like Brown, Tatum, and Rozier last year to basically divide the locker room continue to mess around. Remember, you may have gotten rid of Rozier, Igor, but you still got the same issue that could potentially come up in the locker room, which is all these guys, Hayward, Smart, Brown, Tatum, all these guys are capable of starting in this situation. Oh, and of course Walker. All these guys are capable of starting, yet how are you going to be able to start those guys if there's not enough space? You need at least one big man on the floor in this situation, and yet you got those five guys, Tatum, Brown, Hayward, Smart, and Walker, meaning somebody is going to have to take a back seat and sit on the bench and be the leader of the bench unit. Last year, you had Smart and Hayward that came off the bench, and Rozier who came off the bench, while Irving, Brown, and Tatum were the ones coming, in the starting lineup. But remember, the whole issue that caused this team to be divided was because of the fact that at the start of the season, Brown and Rozier were the ones on the bench, while Hayward, Irving, and Tatum were starting, and Brown and Rozier were not happy being the bench guys. They wanted to make Irving and Hayward go to the bench and force them to have to basically earn back their starting spots from the playoffs, because of the fact the playoffs, prior to that, you had Brown and Rozier starting. This year, what happens, ladies and gentlemen, if Brad Stevens at the start of the season, because many of you seem to be saying Hayward's going to be better this year, we don't want to get rid of him because of the fact that we expect him to be more healthier, he's going to be better for the team overall. Well, you just sign Walker to a max contract, so you're not going to make him come off the bench. All of you feel that Tatum is a superstar caliber player already, so you ain't going to make him come off the bench. So who's it going to be? Hayward, Brown, or Smart? What happens if Hayward starts, Igor? Is Brown going to act like a child again and start complaining, just like he did last season over that? Or is he actually gonna man up and put the championship and the team ahead of his urge to want to start and get that glory? I'm telling you, if Brown, ladies and gentlemen, comes with that mentality come the start of the season, if Hayward starts and Brown, we find reports that Brown is complaining in the locker room because he's not the one starting, there is no way in hell any of you can go the route of now backing up this kid and continuing to bash guys like Kyrie Irving, Horford, and Morris for targeting him, when now it'll be the second season in a row he's had that mentality, which will mean that starting for him, having a starter's role, is more important than actually winning a championship and just being a team player. At that point, I would say get rid of his rear end. So you're still going to have the same issue, Igor. Brad Stevens is going to have to tread carefully at the start of this season and really decide and talk to these guys to find out which one of them is going to be willing to make that sacrifice of being a bench player and not taking it personally. Because the only guys getting the max contracts this season are Hayward and Kemba Walker. And it would look pretty pathetic to be giving Hayward a max contract, and yet you have him coming off the bench for the second season in a row. Odds are, it's probably going to be Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart is going to be the one that probably ends up being the one to say, I'm going to go take the bench row. Right. I'm going to suck it up, accept the bench row, be the leader of the bench. You give Hayward, Brown, Tatum, and Kemba Walker the starting spot, and I'm going to show that I am the ultimate team player in this situation. Right. But if Brad Stevens can't get any of them to say that, I'll take the bench row, we're going to have a major issue on our hands, and Danny Ainge is going to have to get rid of someone in this situation. And, of course, it can't be Kemba because you just signed him, and so you got to wait a certain amount of time before you can trade him again. So it's going to have to be Brown, Tatum, Smart, or Gordon Hayward that'll be sent away to prevent a major issue from happening all over again.
Here is from Bobby Manning. Celtics damaged competitiveness growth with Al Horford's departure. Transformative Celtics darted to chief rival while Boston desperately tried to retain him. My question remains why. A Photoshop of Al Horford in the Sixers last year was surprised. Horford's value to the Celtics may once become truly realizing because he held Embiid to 19 of 52, 36.5% shooting last season in individual matchups. Next year, he will enter games in Boston from the visitors' locker room. Horford is signed for the 4 seasons in Philly, with a new team built to last. Horford's taking a pay cut. He is leaving within 1 week, only to shift in last-minute scrambling by the team to keep him that falter. That false hope rendered the announcement that he would bolt to Philly a spear through Boston's head. After the tease of return alongside Kemba Walker, it had to be Philadelphia. Losing Horford will stall the Boston's growth. As choosing Philadelphia hurts the Celtics' competitiveness, their scramble to maintain Horford on the eve of free agency highlighted what we learned again last year. Danny Ainge stood in no position to replicate or even offset Horford's loss. When he left the floor in the playoffs, the Celtics were outscored by 16.3 points per 100 possessions without Horford. Irving, by comparison, was minus 3.7 in the playoffs basketball references. We were outscored 3.7 points per 100 possessions with Irving on the floor. And an injury in season of slight chance of Horford walking later would leave the Celtics in shambles whether they were competing or rebuilding, as they towed that line the silver lining of Walker's turning gray. The possibility of Horford's departing only received due attention in Milwaukee follow Game 5. Even then, it hid in the shadow of Kyrie Irving's precious standing in Boston. Horford pointed the reports to management. They would determine the future. Management tried and apparently failed. The we Horford used then is devastating no more. Something spurred him to disengage from Boston this summer. If it was exclusive money, then the pay cut rumors were either wrong or changed. Boston's situation did shift due to Irving's departure, which would length credited to shift, but the Celtics seized a Walker agreement before Horford agreed to sign with Philly, as far as we knew. If Boston simply would not match Philly's money, they made a mistake. If Horford simply grew tired of the drama and then left, the Celtics are paying extra price for their 2018-19 departure. Maybe Boston never knew Horford would join the Sixers instead, all improving a chief competitor and rising their standing in the league while directly combating Boston on the floor is problematic. 4 years from now, Horford previously stated desire to play until he's 40. Any youth movement in the paint needed Horford as transitioning force. Daniel Tice has not played minutes against front lines. Robert Williams has played only G League front courts. Grant Williams is just a rookie. Taco Fall, forget it. So Horford would have played critical role in setting up Brown and Tatum's development. He may be aging, but so is Walker. He is on the verge on entering 30s. I would never knock Boston for signing all-star player that wanted to come. The Walker signing dispelled fear that players would turn their nose to Boston after disastrous season. But that cannot be the loan's objective. Committing 140 million 4 years to a player should carry an end goal, namely competing for the conference at least. The cap never made it a Horford or Kemba choice, so Boston's post-Irving plans needed Horford as much as they needed Walker. Though timing is everything. Walker inked first, adding additional steps to retain Horford. Boston scrambled to reclaim Horford's bird rights on the afternoon precede free agency, indicating they would negotiate. Philly certainly outbid Boston. The cost of losing Horford plus the 76ers improvement become the tax of not paying. The Celtics also stalled because the Nets didn't have the incentive to acquire Irving throughout sign and trade. Boston needed to make it work with Brooklyn by sending them first-round pick. The Nets ultimately paid to hard cap themselves in trading Kevin Durant for Kevin Durant. So the Nets are hard capped. The strongest message of Horford saga arrived from Steve Bulpett. Horford would not return no matter the Celtics' effort. So Bulpett followed Horford's intention across rapid shifts in negotiations. According to his reports in mid-June, Horford's desire extra years in exchange for the team-friendly deal was announced. Somewhere communication broke up. While the hyped arrival of Walker in Irving place with good guy draftees allowed for palatable summer, the loss of Horford is unacceptable hurdle to the team will now attempt to surmount. Horford aligned the team's defense and facilitated offensive performances. His eruption each postseason propelled deep run. Remember Isaiah Thomas's 53 points game, that Jason Tatum dunk in the game 7? Those games never occur without Horford. He could not save Boston from demise in 2018-19, but just like Michael Smart, it's scary to imagine how much further the situation could have slid without him. Last year may have worn out him down like did us. We weren't even in the locker room. Perhaps there is no way the Celtics could have retained him, and those comeback rumors were leveraged for money in Philadelphia. While Irving will catch all the boos from the fans in Garden, it will be Horford doing the most damage to the team they cheer for. Thoughts, Daniel, about it?
Again, that's one reason why you and me have been saying to people in the group that it's unfortunate that when it comes to them trashing guys like Horford or Baines or Morris or Irving, they go that route because of the fact that they let their emotions get the best of them. And they don't seem to realize that a lot of the stuff that happens over the past 2 seasons, or specifically that 2018 playoff run that they've all fallen in love with Tatum and Brown for, doesn't take place without Kyrie Irving and Al Horford. Even if Irving wasn't a part of the playoff run itself, he still played a critical role in what ended up happening. For one, Horford was pretty much the key guy in that playoff run. Tatum and Brown may have been the main guy scoring wise, but Horford was the one that kind of played the leadership role and at times found the guys in the right position. He was also the one that went going toe-to-toe with Giannis Antetokounmpo and Joel Embiid in those 2 first-round matchups that the Celtics were victorious in before losing to LeBron James and the Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference Finals. But you don't end up, Igor, facing Milwaukee and Philadelphia if you don't get the number 2 seed. And what was the reason for getting the number 2 seed? Because Al Horford and Kyrie Irving were with those guys, Tatum and Brown, throughout most of the regular season. Irving was lost about 3/4 of the way in this situation, and at that time, you were still in contention for the number 1 seed. So you were in the number 2 spot. Eventually, you ended up managing to hold off the Philadelphia 76ers in order to remain in the number 2 spot after losing Kyrie Irving. But what the heck happens if you don't have Kyrie Irving for the first 3/4 of the season? There ain't no guarantee that Tatum in his rookie year plays the way he does in the playoffs the entire first entire 3/4 of the season. There ain't no guarantee that guys, all these teams that the Celtics took, by surprise the last quarter of the season and in the playoffs, don't make some sort of adjustments to them by the time the playoffs and all that come around. There's several things that fans don't seem to realize, or they do realize it, but just don't want to admit it because they've fallen too much in love with these 2 players. Horford and Irving played just as much of a role in that regular season as Tatum and Brown did for you getting that number 2 spot. And come playoff time, Horford was your most important player when it mattered most in this situation. You saw it the year before, as you said. The year before, it was Isaiah Thomas who was the star player on this team, and Al Horford, working with Isaiah Thomas, got you to the Eastern Conference Finals that year in this situation. So now all of a sudden, he's looking for the Celtics to give him a decent deal. He's willing to help them financially by giving him a decent, contract, and then he finds out, but now in this situation, the young kids are too important. So you're not going to give me the fellow superstar I'm interested in playing in to keep this team afloat. Now I'm going to take a back seat to Tatum and Brown in this situation. And on top of it, I got a team offering me way more money than you, and you don't even want to come close. So I got to accept waiting for kids to develop. I got to accept these same kids being shown as though they're more important than I am when it comes to who's the most important players on this team. And on top of it, I don't get a decent amount of cash coming from you because Horford was not asking for the same amount of money. Remember,
Right.
they were offering him Philadelphia was offering him over $30 million per season.
He didn't ask like 4 years, 110 million from Boston.
No.
He asked guarantees. He asked, he doesn't want to play 4. He doesn't want to spend his last contract in rebuilding. And lastly, he wanted the 4-year contract. And according to insiders, the Celtics willing to offer him only 3 years, which is unacceptable for me personally.
this situation, Igor, is similar to what we saw back when the Celtics traded Garnett and Pierce to Brooklyn. The Celtics were finally felt there was no way they were going to get past Miami at that point. They decided to go into a rebuild. They called Garnett and Pierce into the locker room to discuss it with them, and Garnett and Pierce said, "No, we're not interested in that. Either you keep this team with its core intact and keep us going, pushing for a chance to make it to the finals, or you get rid of us. But we are not interested in going into a rebuild and wasting what final few years we have left, basically trying to coach a couple of new kids and get them to develop just to help you in your future, knowing that technically we want to continue winning rings." Al Horford basically did the exact same thing. In this situation, though, the only difference was that Danny Ainge back then still had Garnett and Pierce under contract, so he was able to trade them away to get something in return. While Al Horford was a free agent, so he decided to get up and leave if the Celtics weren't going to decide to make winning a championship the most important thing for next season. So it is ridiculous for anybody to question him and his loyalty in this situation. Al Horford was nothing but good to the team and to the fans.
And be mad over him. I don't understand. Okay, Irving, I can understand, but I'm calling everybody hypocrite because every single Celtics fan before, I think it was February, when the Celtics were guests in New York and playing New York Knicks. So when Kyrie Irving stated, "I don't own anybody anything," from there all the hate started. So everybody wanting him, but since then everybody wanting Irving out. And the stories and the books have been written about Kyrie Irving being cancer, etc., etc. All that bullcrap. About Horford, everybody underrating him, and now everybody wanted him. This is another example of hypocrites among the Celtics fans. You and I never underestimate Irving, never underestimate Horford. Always was saying, you can replace Irving somehow, you cannot replace Horford. And that is what Bobby Manning is saying. And to conclude, in Philadelphia, Horford got what he want. All bases are covered. Number one, he got money. Fourth year, according to Keith Smith, non-guaranteed. So Philadelphia is not stupid, like you think, Boston Celtics fans. That 2023 year that you are targeting is not guaranteed, Daniel, fully. Those sums depends on the results. In other words, Horford put a bet in himself. If he wins something, he will get bonuses. If he doesn't win something, he will not get bonuses, okay? So I think 95 or 98, something like that is guaranteed. No, 96 millions guaranteed, and the 12 millions are bonuses. The fourth year is not guaranteed. So contract is there, money is there. He will not play 5 because Philadelphia is having centers, unlike Boston. Boston is in love with some fashion that I want to talk about with you, Daniel. I'm afraid that the story will be too long, but we have to explain it now with Taco Fall. Boston fell in love with false 5s, stretch bigs. They don't have 5s. Horford played 5, and Horford doesn't want to play 5 in year of 36 because he's tired. He's old. He cannot bang with the young guys. What is not clear to the Celtics fans, I don't know. He's drafted as a 4, he's 4. He's not 5. And finally, he wants to be contender. Now, the people are persuading me that Boston is actually better team than Philadelphia. And again, I'm telling them, you put money in Boston win a playoff series against deconstructed, and healthy Philly. healthy Philly, with Tobias Harris, with Joel Embiid, with Al Horford, with Ben Simmons, all playing. So, you Boston Celtics fans that believe in Boston, with this team, you're optimistic that we will reach the Eastern Conference Final. Great. Put the money on Vegas. Put money and go earn some money out of your knowledge. I'm going to put money against Boston when they play Philadelphia and Milwaukee Bucks this year. Unless we got some big injuries, we will not pass Philadelphia nor Milwaukee here. About I'm not convinced that Boston will be number 3, Daniel, because, again, Indiana is having fantastic, and Vitor Oladipo is back. And they're stronger than last year. Okay? And they have good front court. So, if I play again Indiana, I would be worried if I'm Boston, to tell you the truth, because of the front court. Now, and of course, fantastic Oladipo, if he returned to the form. Now, returning to my point, the people are saying, our fans, Daniel, so what if we lose from Philadelphia and Bucks in the playoffs? It is not the end of the world, right? Again, it is transitional times in NBA. Kawhi Leonard just left the East. We have only 2 teams, powerhouses, left at the Eastern Conference. Is that correct? Golden State Warriors just dismantled. We have the new powerhouses like Clippers, like Nets in making. Houston got Russell Westbrook. Will be very fun next year. But majority of them at West. Championship is wide open. And what is happening to Boston Celtics, ladies and gentlemen? They are not contenders on the paper anymore. They are 3rd team, but they are not the true contenders. They are 7th, 8th, 9th in the NBA. Is this success for you, Celtics fans? Is this satisfying you? Or you are watching basketball just for fun and just to enjoy the development of the young players like Tatum and Brown? So we will disagree there. I am not watching basketball for fun, and I'm not watching basketball to enjoy the development of the young players. If I want to enjoy the basketball for fun and development of the young players, I am watching Maine Red Claws, I am watching NCAA. I am watching basketball and Boston Celtics to enjoy the winning and the titles. When was the last title? 2008. It's 12th season. 12 seasons ago. When was the last time when the Boston played in the NBA Finals? 10 years ago. And what is happening to the Lakers? Lakers are contenders. You can deny it, you can trash them, you can laugh at them, but the Lakers are a better team than the Boston right now. So, what is wrong, they say, if we are eliminated in the second round? Nothing except the Lakers could win a title and tie potentially with the Boston in number of titles. Do you want it, Celtics fans? I certainly don't. So, would I be upset? Yes, I would be very upset about it. I don't know about you, dear Celtics fans, but I would be very upset about it. Any comments on that?
Well, again, it's going to be a situation where, so for some fans, Igor, there's just no getting through to them, unfortunately.
No.
For them, it's a situation where as long as the team is making the playoffs and it's
right,
a fun experience for them, watching the team compete and giving it their all, they're willing to accept the results. For other fans who live in the Boston area like myself and are used to seeing these teams bring championship after championship, we know there's a higher, level, or there's a high, we hold them to a higher standard, especially when the players themselves like to talk crap and basically make statements in this situation. Think about it. One reason why the Patriots don't get as much criticism in this situation, that Belichick and Brady can almost do anything and not really hear it from Patriot fans, is because we know each and every year they're always in it. Either they're winning the Super Bowl, or they're in the Super Bowl, or they're just missing it by getting beat in the AFC Championship game. But the other two teams the other three teams in this situation are a totally different story. The Bruins have only won once. They've been to the Stanley Cup Finals now 3 times since I've been alive, and have only won 1 time out of 3. The Celtics have been there twice since I've been alive. They've won 1 of 2. Of course, the Red Sox in this situation have won 3 championships, and so some people give them a break in this case, but literally, what can you end up saying to some of these fans if the championship's not the most important thing? If the championship is not the most important thing, then really you're just going to have to accept it. But at the same time, those people got to realize that if the championship's not the most important thing to you, then really, why in the world do you watch the sport and really show an allegiance to any team, for one? And 2, why in the world do you want to go after any fans that do hold a championship near and dear in this situation, if you yourself can't actually go the route of understanding what it is to actually be that type of a fan in this situation? Again, someone like KG would not come to this team and accept this type of mentality from some of these players and from some of these fans in this case. And I'm sure if he was playing here, fans would get it. But because there ain't nobody on this team that is as intense as KG and holds the championship as near and dear as he does, the fans have decided to accept the way of life that the players themselves have decided to go about it. But like I said, Igor, you and me will find out within the next couple of months, within the next year, should I say, what it's gonna be, what it's gonna be like. If these guys can make it back to the Eastern Conference Finals by beating, and this is the key, ladies and gentlemen, we are not saying get back to the Eastern Conference Finals by beating, let's just happen to say, Indiana, and let me just throw out another name, the New York Knicks, if they were to somehow make the playoffs. We're saying you get to the Eastern Conference Finals by beating Milwaukee or Philadelphia, you end up going toe-to-toe with one of those teams and you actually knock them off, that is a legit situation. But if, let's say, Giannis Antetokounmpo suffers a major injury and he goes down for most of the season and he comes back, and ultimately, because of it, you got Philadelphia at number 1, you're number 3, and Milwaukee's number 4, and because of it, you end up making it to the Eastern Conference Finals, that ain't gonna prove no damn thing. If you don't get through one of those 2 teams, knowing that they're the biggest rivals, it's the same thing you and me have been saying about 2018. The 2 biggest teams that had a legit shot to knock you off were Toronto and Cleveland back then, and you didn't face either one of them until the 3rd round when you finally did lose. So if you don't face either one of those 2 teams in the 2nd round of this year's playoffs coming up, then it doesn't mean a damn thing to me, Igor. As simple as that. Fans can complain, they can talk crap about me all you want in this situation, but these kids, they were the ones that made the claims alongside a bunch of these fans that they could win a championship. Meaning, you're saying that you could beat Houston, You're saying that you could beat the Lakers. You're saying you could beat the Clippers. You're saying you can beat Philly. You can beat Milwaukee. You can beat Toronto. You can beat Golden State. Well, if that's the case, then fans shouldn't have no problem with us saying you got to beat at least one legit team to get to that third round in order for us to be impressed. We don't want to see you beating a bunch of teams that your talent-wise, you are head and shoulders ahead of them in this case. You got to beat somebody legit in order to actually prove that these kids are capable of going toe-to-toe with some of the best players in the league and actually knock them off when it matters most. You didn't do it in 2018. You gave the only legit competitor, the team with the legit competitor you faced back then was LeBron James and the Cavaliers. And ultimately, you did give him a run for his money, but you lost at home in Game 7 against him. But back then, the 76ers, pretty much, their guys were just getting started, and Milwaukee's key guys were just getting started. So, ladies and gentlemen, you were the ones that laid down the gauntlet. You were the ones that made the claims. It's just like Igor. It's just like when you invent something. You invent something, you go and you start advertising it on the television, ladies and gentlemen.
Stick to your words.
Yeah.
Stick to your words.
Exactly. You fans have gone the route of pretty much using our group to advertise these kids as superstars and that they can knock off any team pretty much. Well, stick to it. If these kids don't do it, then it's false advertisement, we could say, on your part. These kids were not the kids you claimed they could be this season. And that's all we're trying to say. Me and Igor are not saying these kids can't be superstars at some point. We're saying they can be superstars, but it won't be this season when it matters most, like some of you are saying. We're saying it's going to take a few years when they've earned the respect of the league and the respect of the officials in this situation, because in order to be a superstar, you got to get the officials to give you all those calls. Look at Kyrie Irving, a perfect example. He's a player that everybody views as a top 15 guy, and yet the moment he played a guy that's top 6, Kyrie Irving at times, he could literally get punched in the face in that series against Milwaukee and still couldn't draw a call from the officials.
Right.
Because Milwaukee was the team that the NBA wanted to see in the next round because they had the bigger name star. So, ladies and gentlemen, all we're saying is these kids, this season, one season is not going to be enough. That 2-month period that we saw in 2018 is not going to be enough to get the NBA to give these kids the rankings they need to get those calls to go in their favor when push comes to shove and you're ready to go toe-to-toe with Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Bucks or Joel Embiid and the 76ers again. But we are saying we are willing to admit in a couple of years, if, and that's the key word, Igor, if these kids are still here in Boston and they choose to remain loyal to the franchise, because we all know after this season is over, those kids, at least Brown, he could easily get up and walk away after the season is over, ladies and gentlemen. There ain't no guarantee. And unfortunately, in this sport, it's being proven there ain't no such thing as loyalty in this case. That word, get it out of your dictionary, shred it in a paper shredder, do whatever you want. There ain't no loyalty when it comes to NBA players, unfortunately. So you're going to have to hope that these kids are willing to stay in Boston long term while they're continuing to develop, but it's going to be a few years with several playoff runs to the Eastern Conference Finals before the league gives these kids the same type of rankings that they're giving to Joel Embiid and Giannis Antetokounmpo. So we'll see who's right in a couple months, in a year or so. Is it going to be you people that wanted to push Irving and Horford and Morris and Aaron Baines all out the door? Or is it going to be the people who are saying that pushing them out the door just means you're going to make it more difficult to get to the NBA Finals and win a championship at a time where the Eastern Conference could be wide open in this case? Yep. And at that point, these kids are going to have to prove with all the pressure on their shoulders that they can be superstars at some point. And if they fail, then you have no choice but to suck it up and admit it.
No more excuses. I have few more details. Trey Lyles contract, which is most important right now. Daniel, I just received informations. Vincent Poirier's 2-year deal in Boston is not minimum. Poirier is 2 years, 4.65 millions using cap space. So Boston right now has 1.14 millions in cap space left currently. They have to sign Tice, Cantor, and Wanamaker officially. They can use remaining cap space, for example, to sign with 1.14 millions Tremont Waters to the two-way deal. Let's explain the roster of the Boston Celtics, and this is the last thing that we're going to discuss in this chat. Boston Celtics salary cap situation and players on the roster. Now, Kemba Walker, point guard, 29 years, received via sign and trade, which made Boston Celtics hard capped. When you do sign and trade, you automatically hard cap yourself, which means your roster, your salary cap is projected at the upfront, which is 138 millions, and you cannot cross that line $1. Now, Kemba Walker signed 4 years, 141 millions, or 32.7 millions first year. Gordon Hayward, 29, using cap space, 32.7 millions, a little less than Kemba, or $42,000 less than Kemba. 41.3 if you want. $41.3 thousand less Hayward, less than Kemba. Marcus Smart, number 3, bird rights, $12.55 million. Tatum, rookie, Tatum is the third year, 7.8 millions. Jaylen Brown, fourth year, rookie contract, 6.5 millions. Daniel Tice, he will be signed. He's not signed officially yet, but will be signed using early bird rights. The next season will be for Daniel Tice 4.878 millions estimated. 4.878 millions estimated. Enes Kanter is signed via room exception. Room exception is tax-paying part of the mid-level exception, and Enes Kanter will get full 4.767 millions. 4.767 millions, 2 years deal. 1 year, 4.767 million. Romeo Langford signed, 19 years old, our highest rookie, if I'm correct, number 14, 3.45 millions. Grant Williams, rookie, 2.379 millions. Robert Williams, rookie deal, second year, 1.9 millions. Shemi Ojule, cap space, second year, 1.6 millions. Bradley Wanamaker, point guard, 30 years old, second year in Boston. He signed with veteran minimums, 1.4 millions. Carson Edwards will be signed, of course, as 33rd pick, second rounder. 4 years, 4.5 millions guaranteed, which is 1.2 millions estimated. And Taco Fall, we will explain right now, his contract, his Exhibit 10 contract, estimated $898,310. $898,310 guaranteed in his Exhibit 10 contract. So the people that are saying that we can cut Taco and save everything, not true, because it has guarantees on that deal. Now, Vincent Poirier actually, like we said, 2 years, 4.65 millions, which is making him around 4.6, which is making him like 2.3 millions per year. According to these calculations, which are not true, because we didn't have the exact number of Vincent Poirier contract, but let's say this way. NBA luxury tax threshold 132.6 millions. Total salaries 119 millions. Luxury tax pays 13 millions. Luxury tax apron 138.9 millions. Luxury tax apron pays 19 millions. The Celtics total salaries, including dead money and cap calls, dead money on Demetrius Jackson and Gershon Yabusele, and this is like 119 millions, but I will say this is like 120.3 millions actually, 120.3 millions. In other words, we're still not at the luxury tax threshold, but we will be, we are hard capped 138.928 millions, and we have one open roster spot guaranteed. We have 14 guaranteed contracts, two-way deals. One is Max Strus, pardon, one is Max Strus, and another one is signed Tremont Waters. So we have one Exhibit 10 contract, which is practically non-guaranteed two-way deal, Taco Fall, and 14 guaranteed contracts. We have one open roster spot. Guaranteed contracts are Kemba Walker, Gordon Hayward, Marcus Smart, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Daniel Tice, Enes Kanter, Romeo Langford, Grant Williams, Robert Williams, Shemi Ojule, Brad Wanamaker, Carson Edwards, and Vincent Poirier. Again, Taco Fall is not guaranteed contracts. So, players signed to the two-way contracts, Max Strus and Tremont Waters, they are currently designed to G affiliate. Two-way salaries do not count against the team salary cap. They can spend up to 45 days and play in Boston. They cannot play in the playoffs. Another last subject, Daniel, to explain Taco Fall's contract and to say a couple of words about Mr. Taco Fall, which is sensation and the superstar practically in the Summer League. Taco Fall is signed to Exhibit 10 contract. We heard, Daniel, around $893,000 guaranteed. Taco Fall went undrafted, but is signed with the Boston Celtics on Exhibit 10 contract. What is Exhibit 10 contract? It is a deal that allows Taco Fall to sign with the Celtics on non-guaranteed one-year deal. Fall's bonuses can range from $5,000 to $50,000, and Exhibit 10 contracts are 1 year's deals worth minimum salary practically $1 million. Like I said, $893,000 and $310 guaranteed. Bonuses are between $5,000 $1,000 and $50,000 by result, of course. So the minimum NBA salary last season in the NBA was $582,180. Again, minimum salary for NBA player last year was $582,180. This is exactly what Taco Fall's guaranteed salary would be the next year, rookie salary, if he makes the Celtics roster. Now, the bonuses for Exhibit 10 contracts, like I said, between $5,000 and $50,000 as an incentive for the player to stay with the team. It also allows the Celtics to keep Fall's G League rights if they choose to do so. So Exhibit 10 bonus is structured as well how the deal could become two-way contract. I mean, it is all in the rules. The structure of Exhibit 10 bonuses and how that deal could become the two-way deal. Essentially, Exhibit 10 bonus serves is an incentive for the player to stick with the team's G League affiliate, in this case, Maine Red Claws, and they must spend at least 60 days with the NBA G League club in order to get their bonuses. There is another scenario in which the undrafted rookie who is signed to an Exhibit 10 contract could receive $50,000 bonuses, which is maximum. Exhibit 10 contract can be converted into two-way deal contract. So if, for example, Boston opted to do so before the season began, that bonus will $50,000 will turn into guaranteed money, and this will be added to the salary. As soon as his contract becomes two-way deal, he is entitled to that bonus $50,000, even if Celtics waive him later. Only teams with G affiliate can include Exhibit 10 contracts into their deals. So Paul likely had a number of potential suitors, but he opted to the Celtics. With Horford out, the Celtics looked to the depth at the center for the Summer League, and Fall fits the need. Fall's biggest weaknesses is jump shoot and free throw shooting. UCF head coach, Florida coach Johnny Dawkins has pointed Boban Marjanovic as potential example of Fall's role in the NBA. Fall is traditional big man who can block shots and get his points in the low post. NBA bigs are now being asked to shoot from the perimeter, and this is not something Fall is doing. Fall moves well for the big man, which is 7'6" tall and has good footwork. And he can play the defense, which we showed at the Summer League. There is plenty to like about Fall's game at the center. Held his own because he dominated against number one pick Zion Williamson in the NCAA tournament. So Fall's ability to make the Celtics roster depends on the two factors. Number one, how well he performs on the Summer League, and he performed well. And number two, of his ability to adapt to NBA coaching, of course. I heard that coaches loves him, including Stevens. And secondly, how much runaway the Celtics give Fall to prove he belongs in the NBA before and to show his unique fit. The reports, sadly, Daniel, are saying that the Celtics fans should not expect Mr. Taco Fall to the Celtics anytime soon. It will maybe be decided after the end of training camp, September, October, but until then, he's signed. Now, until I search the last words, the words of Bobby Manning, again, our future guest, in Friday, until I search, those words for Mr. Taco Fall, I will say this way. I'm not saying this kid is going to be a star, but I think that the people I must say that the people that are saying that Taco Fall is going to be the new Boban Marjanovic and he cannot play in the NBA, I think that Taco Fall is going to show them wrong. And if Boston waives him, as I'm afraid they will do, I think that we will regret, because he will sign an actual NBA contract with another NBA team. Keep me to the words. If Boston Celtics actually waive Taco Fall, he will sign the NBA deal with another team. The people that are saying about his defense, first of all, he showed that that he can play the defense. He needs good defensive four beside him. He needs the defensive schemes in which he's dropping on the pick and roll maybe, but he can defend, and he showed that he can be the rim protector. And about the wins in Summer League, I don't care about the Summer League, but again, he dominated the Zion Williamson. And this is the number one pick. I found what Bobby Manning said. I was listening to radio, and they were acting like Fall is dummy who can't move and just sits under the basket. This is not fair. That has been said. I would put the over-under on one game played if the Celtics keep him. The speed of the game is substantial adjustments. Personally feel Taco brings more potential to the two-way deal than Max Strus and Tremont Waiters, and 90% of the guys the Celtics can sign. There could be more than $160,000 for him elsewhere. I would try him out in the camp with the others, eat that money if we need to. Jared Weiss mentioned the Celtics can cut guys with the dead money up to the luxury tax. The two-way deals can be cut, and also Exhibit 10 guys can be cut. So the Celtics can cut guys with the dead tax money up to the luxury tax, especially since it's appeared that the Celtics stretched Yabusele. And we signed Frenchman Poirier to bigger deal than expected, 2 years, 4.65 millions. In other words, Daniel, low risk, high reward. I do not understand what the people are afraid of Kemba. Kemba is going to present it tomorrow, if I'm correct. Anyway, or Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Anyway, I do not understand why people are so stubborn, Daniel, about Taco Fall. They are saying, oh, the game, speed, yada, yada, yada. Again, it all started when Warriors won the first championship after 40 and something years, after 70s. A couple of years ago, 4 or 5. So everybody's trying to adjust that lineup squad of Warriors, small ball lineup with Sean Livingston, with Stephen Curry, with Klay Thompson, with Kevin Durant, and with Draymond Green. But nobody understands that this lineup cannot be copied because of unique versatility of Draymond Green and Kevin Durant. He's 2 meters tall and he can play 4 successful. Kevin Durant is not there now. So nobody could replicate that small ball lineup. But everybody's trying to do so. Anyway, in the NBA, the trend is to play small. Yes. But do you remember, Daniel, you're the follower of Patriots. When Patriots were playing, before they won the first championship with Tom Brady in 2000s, early 2000 years, the trend all around the league was that everybody just should play 4-3 defense. So everybody in the NFL played 4-3 defense because it was trend. Just like playing small ball is trend right now. Okay. Now, Bill Belichick came, Tom Brady came, and the Patriots starting to play 3-4 defense. They won the first championship and the second one. And then what happened? Everybody shifted and started playing 3-4 defense. What I'm saying, I'm not expecting a rejuvenation of the basketball from the 80s or 90s with the classical centers. But I'm just saying, if whole league is playing the false fives and stretch bigs, why in the world the Celtics should do the same if they don't have personnel to do this? We don't have the right personnel. Only stretch big is Daniel Tice. So, use what you have. I'm not going to comment horribly selected front court in my opinion right now, but what I'm saying, if you have Taco Fall, try to use him the proper way as your advantage and try to hide him on the other side of the court. Maybe it will work, as we saw in the Summer League. Maybe it will not, but you will not have too much to lose because we heard you can cut him and he is on the minimum salary 1 year, $1 million anyway, or $560,000 guaranteed. I do not understand Celtics insiders, Celtics management, Celtics coach, the resistant towards keeping Taco Fall and keeping Max Strus and keeping Tremont Waters, who is a short guy who will never play in NBA, or he will play a couple of seasons and go. I do not understand it. You have guy with the small risk and high reward potential, and you're not going to sign him. This is stupid. This is so stupid that I cannot describe. This is not good management of the team. Daniel?
Well, again, you and me have pretty much said the Achilles heel for this team the last few years has been the big man position. Danny Ainge has not been able to get a legit center for this team since he traded away Kendrick Perkins.
He's following trends,
yeah,
like I said.
The only center you can say he's been able to get that really was a real center was Shaq, which we all know Shaq was probably in the final year of his career pretty much, and decided to come just to play alongside Garnett, Pierce, and Allen because he thought it'd be a fun season with them, and it'd be the last hurrah. But Shaq couldn't stay healthy. Other than that, ever since he got rid of Perk, he hasn't been able to get a true center to stay with this team. Every year, it's been us having somebody who's really a power forward having to play the center position in this case. Baines is someone that they put down as a center, but you look at him, he's like Horford. Big body, can shoot the three, he's more of a power forward. A center is somebody that you see that likes to focus on down low, the rebounding, the dunks, the layups, and the blocks in this situation. That's what you see from Joel Embiid. That's what you saw from Kendrick Perkins. That's what you saw from Shaquille O'Neal in his prime. This is something that unfortunately Ainge has never gotten since Perk left. We don't have it right now on this team in this situation. Robert Williams, whether it's him whether it's Taco Fall in this situation, none of them in this case really is going to be the type of center you need with the body to bang with Joel Embiid. Antetokounmpo, maybe it's a different story because he's not that heavy in this case, wide in this situation. And so as long as you got a tall enough man to go, lifting your arm up and reach high enough so that he's got to shoot over him, maybe you got a shot. But Embiid, as long as he's able to bang your man and knock him out of the way, he's going to take advantage of it in this case. So right now, Danny Ainge has done a good enough job to keep everything set in the guard position. Like you and me said, we were in a position where we were worried about that spot coming into the offseason, regardless of what happened with Kyrie Irving, whether he stayed or not, we were going to be set. It was the big man position that was going to be the problem. If you kept Morris, Horford, and Baines, you at least had three decent guys it was proven that can at least hold down the fort. They may not have been the best guys, but they were decent enough with Horford being the leader. You lose all three, now you're having to depend on a bunch of guys, specifically guys who have little to no experience. Ainge gets Enes Kanter, who we all know, Enes Kanter is someone that has been used to playing out in the Western Conference, but he doesn't have much of an offensive game. And many have said defensively he's not that great either. Ainge has got to do something, and in my opinion, come next summer, that is exactly what he's going to have to focus on. That's going to be the key thing, getting a legit big, specifically a center, to join this to join alongside the guards that you have. Many, you and me have said, maybe Ainge's idea is to wait until 2021 when someone like Giannis Antetokounmpo is a free agent to try and lure him away from Milwaukee. A lot of teams are going to try to do that. Antetokounmpo is probably going to be the biggest name alongside, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George and LeBron James. As we all know, those guys, their contracts are all set to expire around the same time. So 2021 is going to be a major thing, but Danny Ainge has got to do something soon, but because these guys, the ones we got right now, are not going to cut it, unfortunately. You can get the job done. Tatum, Brown, Hayward, Kemba Walker, those guys can get the job done offensively to go toe-to-toe with some of these other guys from these other teams. But defensively, you are setting yourself up for a major, disappointment, because you ain't going to have anybody capable of guarding the best players in the Eastern Conference now, because a majority of them are centers and power forwards.
Okay, so hopefully the Celtics will give the chance to Taco Fall. I like this guy, and it is not just because we like this guy. I think that there is a potential there, Daniel, and he should be given the chance as a two-way deal, like I said. Let him prove himself into the main, but do not let other NBA team to sign. It will really make me mad to see this happening. Anyway, it was Summer League breakdown, roster breakdown, salary cap breakdown, Celtics Talk Radio video chat 44. We want to thank you for watching us, supporting us. Maybe sometimes we are wrong, but we admit it when we are. And the next show is on Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. We have excellent guests. I said one, Mr. Bobby Manning. So we will discuss about everything that happens in the summer with the Celtics, including draft, including free agency, including NBA Summer League. And that's it. I'm Igor. Today it's Monday, 15th July. We are finishing Celtics Talk Radio live video chat 44. The Summer League is over. The Summer League recap. Daniel?
Yep, it's unfortunate that after, like many people said, this summer league kind of might just represent Igor. What's going to happen this upcoming season? It might have just started getting our fans prepared. A fun team that looks like it has a lot of potential in the regular season, just to be a big time fail in the postseason. We'll see what happens now. You had some good time performances, from Carson Edwards. Like you said, you had a lot of fans going nuts over Taco Fall. Every time he went to the court, it was fans going nuts, giving him a loud ovation. Every time he got taken off the court, there was a negative reaction sent towards the Celtics coaches for removing him. You had Tremont Waters, unfortunately, with his family's issue, the death of his father. Hopefully the police department doesn't take long to find out what happened with that incident, and his family does get some closure in regards to that situation. But it was a great performance from these young kids and what we got to see out of them, at least the ones that Danny Ainge managed to, draft. But it's not likely we'll see a lot of playtime for them come the regular season in this situation. And we'll just have to wait another year, most likely, before we really see these guys get pushed up into the main rotation.
Okay, so talk to you soon, and always root for the Celtics no matter what you think about the players that are playing in Boston. And always respect the ex-Celtics players, because we're not the Lakers, we're not burning the jerseys after the player leaves us. So please be decent and respect the history and the legacy of Boston Celtics and Red Auerbach. Always root for the Celtics. Wish you good night. Go Celtics.